When it comes to American elites, there's definitely no shortage of conspiracy theories about secret organizations or shadow governments that rule the world. And you know what? Given everything that's on the news these days, these theories are getting harder and harder to ignore. If Jeffrey Epstein really did have a secret island dedicated to human trafficking, then maybe we should take a closer look at Pizzagate. But all jokes aside, the reason why these theories are so convincing is because of hard data like this.
The growing gap between rich and poor Americans is one of the biggest challenges facing the country. Get this, the richest 1% controls more wealth now than at any time in more than a half century.
As you can see, it's no secret that US elites hold a disproportionate amount of the world's wealth. Now, whether there is or isn't some secret organization that's controlling the world behind the scenes is not the point of this episode. What we are going to talk about is the very real power and influence of the American elites. Let's get to it. Hi, this is Joseph Zhang, and I'm the managing partner here at Zhang & Associates, where we solve legal problems with creative solutions. So the elites in society can be broken down into two groups, old wealth and new wealth. A good example of old wealth would be something like the Crown Prince of Thailand, or the Russian oligarchs, or the people sitting at the top of India's caste system. Now, the problem about old wealth is that it generally stops the next generation from achieving their full potential, leading to a country's stagnation. And that's because their business and political ties run so deep in the country that whoever tries to overtake them or challenge their power is probably not going to get very far. The closest thing we have to old wealth would be like the Rockefeller family. But even they don't have as much of a stronghold on US society as they used to. And one reason why the US was able to escape the tyranny of old wealth is because it has so much new wealth. And new wealth is what the US is known for. Old wealth tends to focus on maintaining the status quo. If you're already the richest in your society, you're not really considering on making more money, you just want to make sure other people don't take it from you. New wealth, however, is focused on the future, focused on innovation, focused on the thing that got them there and to continue to move forward. And that is what the US is known for.
Money, money, money.
Not too long ago, Elon Musk was still taking showers at his local Y while saving up for a hair transplant. And Mark Zuckerberg was still trying to figure out a good way to rank Harvard undergrads by their looks. But I want to make a distinction between the wealth of the individual and the wealth of the company. Of course, being the CEO of a $1 trillion company gives you a lot of global sway. But even your regular billionaire has as much influence and power as that of a superhero.
What are your superpowers again? I'm rich.
So just how much power can one single billionaire wield? Well, we saw Bill Gates single-handedly save the World Health Organization, or we see that Elon Musk is trying to help all of humanity immigrate to Mars. And the examples can go on, and it really depends on whatever each billionaire sets his heart on. But the key statistic that you should pay attention to is just how many billionaires are in the US compared to the rest of the world. You see, as of now, there are roughly 2,100 billionaires in existence, and 614 of them live in the US, which is just under a third. And not only does the US have the most billionaires in the world, but the average US billionaire is actually far richer than your average billionaire from any other country. Like Jeff Bezos has more billions than all of the billionaires in Sweden combined. Historically speaking, there's only been a handful of families or organizations that have had access to this kind of wealth, like the Medici family, who essentially ruled all of Florence during the height of the Renaissance, or even the Vatican itself. But this was the old status quo, old wealth. But today, because of America's capitalistic society, it has essentially given rise to a newly minted class of billionaires. Many of these billionaires could rival some of those historical figures that used to rule the world. Each one of these billionaires has a vision of what the world should look like. They all have their own empire that they want to protect. They're like a Tony Stark or a Bruce Wayne or like Black Panther. And what do all of these billionaire superheroes have in common? There's only one place they call home. And that's the competitive edge of the United States. They're able to churn out more billionaires than any other country, and each one of them have as much power and influence as another nation, and they all call the United States their home. Would you invade New York if all the Marvel heroes and all the DC heroes were assembled there?
Oh, hell
Hell no!
Now, as an immigration attorney, I've helped many wealthy families immigrate to the US over the past decade, and I always ask them why. And the reason is that wealth is celebrated here. You see, in other countries, if you are rich, other people might suspect that you got it illegally. The state might try to confiscate it. You might have to hide your assets. You cannot enjoy the wealth that you earned. And that's the thing that sets the US apart from these other countries. When you're driving through Rodeo Drive in LA or Manhattan in New York, you can see that there are entire companies and industries set up to serve the billionaire class. There are nanny and butler services that make over $200,000 a year, which is more than many CEOs. And all of this makes sense. If you are the only rich dude on the block, you might be a little ashamed by using your money. But when you immigrate to the US and you're surrounded by other fellow billionaires, you can finally breathe again. And that's why we see the elites from every country immigrating to the US. And the craziest thing about all of this is that there's so much demand for the EB-5 visa, basically buying your green card, that there's actually a queue. There's actually a long line to try to get in. And you know rich people hate waiting more than anything, and the US is making them wait. Okay, but what does all of this mean for little old me and you? Well, the top 1% of Americans pay roughly around 25% to 40% of all the taxes in this country. That means to operate this country, it's largely due to the contributions of the billionaire class, the elites in society, and not just our own, but the ones that also immigrate here. And those tax dollars are after depreciation and all the loopholes that already exist. In other words, the billionaires and the millionaires are the profit puppies of the US government. They are incentivized to create more, and arguably the US is really good at creating them. Now, I recognize that wealth inequality is a huge problem in our society, and it doesn't help when these elite 1% tells you that your life is already much better because of their inventions. The truth is, it doesn't have to be one way or the other. It can be both. When you vote Democrat, it doesn't mean you want to stop all economic progress. And when you vote Republican, it doesn't mean you're an unkind person who doesn't care about the people. I believe we're smart enough to achieve both economic progress and to improve the Commonwealth. And this November 3rd, you have that opportunity to pick exactly who you think can best achieve that reality. Thank you for watching today's video. That's episode 6 of our new series, Let's Talk America! If you like what you saw, please smash that like button and subscribe because we're releasing 2 new videos every week leading up to the election. That's it for now. Until then, see ya. Bye-bye.